Welcome back. We'll be moving to the creative phase of this course straight away. But before we move on, please, if you don't have the assets for this course, please download them. Be sure to check them out. They are in a zip folder in a downloadable link in the description below. Okay, so let's dive straight into the course. So I'll click my file, okay, my new document, and then I'll be having this. Just in case you've just installed your InDesign and you want to get to this environment that I'm in, I'll do that with you. So let me just close my InDesign. Let's see. So this is me opening my InDesign application. Alright, so I think yours should look like this. So same thing, click your new file and then you should be brought up to speed. Okay, so we're going to be having this environment. Okay, so in your InDesign, creating a new document is very important. This is where you get to set up everything, okay, that you will need for the course. And the funny part of this is that there are some settings that cannot be tweaked later on in the course, so be sure to make sure everything is checked here before moving on. So I'm going to be explaining what you need to know here. Now the good thing with InDesign is that we have okay, this panel where we have the print. So you can just choose to go with your A4. Okay, these are like what we call templates, so to say. So you can go on with your A4, your A3, your A5, and so on and so forth. So I'm going to stick with my A4. Okay, so A4, and then for Photoshop and Illustrator, I like using pixels, but here I'm going to settle for millimeters because I would love to put in my margins and bleed, slug, and the rest all in millimeters. Okay, so let's move on. Alright, so here, because we've used A4, automatically this is the standard for A4, 210 by 297 millimeters. We have whether we're going for portrait or landscape. Of course, we are going to use portrait. We have pages. From what I showed you earlier, we are going to be designing a brochure that is about 4 pages, so I'm going to be entering 4 there. Of course, to start at 1. Okay, so what are columns? Okay, so now columns divide your page into sections, helping you organize text and images neatly. For example, magazines often use multiple columns for readability. You must have seen some magazines that has about 2-3 columns, but for the kind of designs I want to make, I'm going to be sticking with 1 column. You can increase it and so on and so forth. So I will stick with my 1 column. Okay, so let's move on. Okay, we have facing pages. If you want to have facing pages checked, so I'll just click create so that we can test the facing pages, so to say. Alright, so this is how facing pages will look like, just in case you need them. So let's go back to where we were before. Alright, what is column gutter? The gutter is a space between those columns. You know, at first we talked about the columns, right? You can say just beside the columns, the column gutter. There's a space between those columns. It prevents your text from touching or looking cramped, making your layout cleaner and easier to read. So for me, I will leave my column gutter at the default there. Now let's move on to our margins. Alright, so margins are the invisible borders inside your page that act as a safety zone, keeping text and key elements within the margins to ensure that nothing gets too close to the edge or cut off when printing. Alright, so for this work, I'm going to use, let's say, 3 millimeters for my margin. I'll just enter 3. Okay, click that there and type 3. That's all. Of course, we want it linked because we want our margin to be both for the top, bottom, inside, and outside. Okay, so let's move on to what we call the bleed. Alright, the bleed is an extra area that extends beyond your page edge. If your design has background colors or images that reach the edge, you stretch them easily into the bleed, and usually about 3 millimeters, so they print cleanly to the edge without white borders. Now the bleed is mostly used when you are printing. Okay, so if I'm going to be printing, I'm going to use a bleed. I'm going to assume that I'm printing this work. I'm going to use a bleed of, let's say, 3 millimeters too. And I think that should fly. So let's talk about the slug. The slug area sits outside the bleed. It's used for adding printer's notes, color info, or crop marks. Things that won't appear in the final trim page but help during production. So for this, I'm not going to put in any value for the bleed. I will leave it at 0 millimeters. Okay, then finally we'll look at the slug. Alright, sorry, the primary test frame. Now the primary test frame automatically creates a test frame based on your margin guides. It's useful for multi-page documents like books or newsletters because it allows your text to flow seamlessly from one page to another. Okay, so for this work, I will not need my primary text frame. Now, when we are going to be designing a textbook or a storybook, we will need a primary text frame there. But for now, since it's just a brochure, we're not going to be needing the primary text frame. So I believe if you have put in everything, I've explained 4 pages, facing pages, and okay, and so on and so forth. When you hit your create, okay, you should be having something like so. Alright, you should be having something like so. And I think this is good enough for us to start our work. Okay, to finish up this course, we are going to set up our workspace. If you come in here, you observe that I have a workspace called course, and believe me, this is how I love my workspace looking. So I'm going to teach you how to set up a workspace like this so that at least you will know where I'm clicking to get things working. So first and first, I believe that once you load up your Adobe InDesign, your workspace should be in your Essentials Classic. It should look like something like so. So all you need to do is to just click this button here. You click it first. So now you have your page, your layers, and your links. Okay. So I love my pages, my layers, and my links being here. Then there's some panels that I love having there. So I'll come to my Windows panel. First and foremost, this is your Windows panel. This is your Windows panel, and then we have our toolbox. We have our control panel here. So let's set up and see. So come to your Windows panel. I'll move to my type. I'll need my character. I have it here. Move to my Windows panel again. I'll move on to, let's say, okay, here my character still, or let's go with my styles. Okay, I'll get my paragraph styles too. So let me just set up this briefly. So all I need to do is to drag this. Now observe something. I keep dragging until it turns to a blue color. You see that? I leave it there. So when you have this here, you could just drag. Okay, let's drag this into like so. It stays there. Alright, and then we could keep. Okay, just like how we did earlier, that we'll click this and then we'll click that. So I'm going to click this too, like so. So with this, I can just drag this and keep it there. So I'm going to be adding more panels there. Okay. Alright, so let's say I'll bring in my properties. I'm going to bring in my properties here. I love having my properties there. I'll just keep it there. So I like having my pages first, then properties, then layers, and then link. I'll go on there. So I'll bring in my proof lights. Okay, I will go to my let's say output, bring in my proof lights. I need that there too. So the idea is just to have panels that you'll be using most of the times, which I think is this for me. I'll be using my pages, my properties, my layers, and my links most of the times. Then I also keep moving on. Okay, panels that I need will be added here. So once you have at least the few that you have on your screen, just move on to your Essential Classic, go to New Workspace. If you don't have this here, all you need to do is to come to your Windows, go to Workspace, and then move down to New Workspace. Click New Workspace, and let's say I could call it Course 2. Okay. Now the good thing is, let's say I'm back to my Essential Classic, right? Or let's say my Essentials. I'm having something like this. I could just come here anytime and click my course 2 or leave it to load, and then I'm having this arrangement. So of course I've saved something for myself already called the course, and here I've added some other panels just like how I did just now, like the character, paragraph, story, tables, cell styles, and so on and so forth. So I advise you to add these panels, okay, just like how I've done mine here, so that when we start with our practicals, it's going to be very much seamless. So looking at this here in your pages panel, if you observe, we have a page here, we have a spread, we have another page here. Now before I end this particular video, if you look at this carefully, I cannot drag this down. It's very difficult. It's not dragging. So there are ways you can go about this. Take for instance, let's say when let me hit Ctrl N again. Okay, let's say I did not turn on facing pages, and I click create. Now we're having 4 pages all lined up here. Unless I need here to be a spread, right? I need here to be a spread. Okay, so all I need to do is click should I say this hamburger menu, click it and uncheck allow document pages to shuffle. Now observe something, I can't drag this up, right? I need this and this to be in the same line, so I'll just come here, click allow document pages to shuffle, make sure it is unchecked. Now watch something, I can click this and drag it there. Let's try that again. Let's see. So I just drag it there, and you can see I could even drag this again there. Observe what happens here. Okay, so when I drag this back, alright, so I can take it there, and so on and so forth. Okay, so hope you get the idea. So that is that. But since in my case I already have, okay, I have my pages arranged this way. This will be the front page, this will be the inside spread, as you can see. Now let's even zoom in to appreciate it better. Now we have our margin, which you can see here. I think these margins are too small. I will edit it. Okay, we have our margins, then we have we have the margins here, we have the bleed here. Zooming into this, let's see. Okay, so we're good to go. We added no columns, right? So these are like 2 pages in the inside spread. Okay, the good thing is that I can still change my margins. All I need to do is to come to my file, go to document setup. I will have just change to 5, and that's all. Click my, that's it. My margins is set to 5. So I think that is that. We are good with the document setup. So I think right now you should be having this on your screen now, arranged like this, having 4 documents, 1 page, 2 pages in the spread. It's called the spread, and then the 4th page, and then your workspace setup with it being saved like this. And finally, before we go, okay, if you check your document setup, you come to understand that your primary text frame is grayed out. It means that you need to make your decision if you're using primary text frame from the beginning of the work. Okay, so if you're making a book and you need primary text frame, it will be very important for you to get that done. Though there's still a way to go about this, maybe by using your a parent and stuff like that, but we'll discuss that later in this course. I believe you have followed me thus far. A very important part of this is to save your work. So we'll go to our file, we'll go to save as, find a folder where you want to save your work, and go to my Creativeverse YouTube videos, my YouTube resources, and then I have a folder called Adobe InDesign, and I'll just label this Brochure Practicals. Alright, Brochure Practicals. Click save, and then I'm good to go. Okay, so see you in the next video. Thank you.